Good evening everyone, welcome back to Tom Plays Europa Universalis 4 for absolute beginners. We are back with England and we've just about got to the point where our manpower is getting rebuilt. So there are a few things we need to consider. Do we need to do anything? I don't think we do. I think France can control that. I'm actually thinking high on the list is we'll make a colonial army just to set them apart. So we've got them ready when we need them, and I think we're going to fill up our force limit with merchant ships. So light ships. Right, so leave the colonial army while the manpower's recovering, but we've got plenty of sailors. So this is about improving our finances. I know they look pretty good, but in an ideal world, we want to have +3 advisors all around, and those are very expensive. So I do think it's worth doing everything we can. So light ships at the moment are caravels. See. How do I want to do them? Maybe groups of 5. Fairly sure we can afford a third group of 5. Yes, we can. Okay, brilliant. So that will cost us some sailors as well as quite a bit of money, but once they're built we can put them on missions to protect trade in various trade nodes, and it should make us richer, which will get us further on our way. Okay, so at the same time we should probably think about making claims on people. See, we've already got a fair few, to be fair. Yeah, we do have some on Liege, which would be tricky. I'm just wondering if there's any way we can get to Burgundy. Okay, looks like we do actually already have some claims, so maybe I shouldn't worry too much about that. At the moment I was more thinking about making claims on Castile. Would not hurt to take some of the Caribbean away from them and give it to our colonial nation once the colonial nation actually emerges. Okay, fine. So beyond that, let's focus on exploration. So might try to get an idea of how Africa's looking, because that's another target for Portugal a lot of the time. Might just improve relations in Mali while we're here. I really want to know where Castile and Portugal are doing their colonising, because we need to make sure we don't lock us out of any areas by taking all the coastal regions. And the same thing I'm worried about with Louisiana, only on a bigger scale. We're not so fussed about locking people out because we're likely to just bully them out anyway. Cardinal, I would say generally go for this if you're being a good Catholic. In fact, in some ways it benefits us if they're colonising a province nearby, because we can then just take it from them after they've done all the work. but we must make sure they don't lock us out of any areas. In an ideal world, we could do with having a higher value administrative advisor as well, because I think our administrative advisor is only +1, and at the moment our big focus is colonising, and our expansion ideas depend entirely on our admin power. We should also be able to do the final one of those +1 privileges. So Land of Commerce gave us diplomatic power, Religious State gave us admin power, so if we do Primacy of an ability, that will give us military power. Okay, brilliant. Let's summon the Diet again. Clergy want a house of worship, that's always a good one. Depletion of manpower reserves, I actually am quite keen on that one at the moment. And the burghers want us to have money, which is also useful. I might risk the nobility one. It is risky. Oh good grief, I've overextended again. Oh well, nothing I can do. It is risky because we might find that an ally needs our help, and we'll have a choice between upsetting the ally or upsetting the nobles, but at the same time I was planning on trying to build back our manpower in a big way. So let's just keep that going. Might put off the colonial army because of it. So 75% is what we're going for. So it's over 30,000, but we'll get there. Let's see just how many ships we're going to lose. Thanks to my foolishness. Possibly all of them. Nearly all of them at least. Okay, well we probably did have some of the older ships, so at least we can replace them with newer ones. Right, so for that one we are going to need at least 5 transports. I might do a 5th, a 6th. So we have 5 flutes, and we're going to need carracks again. Ideally, I don't know, let's go for 3. I'm really commented on it, but a load of stuff about the Reformation branching out again. Okay, right. So our king has died. And we have Henry VIII. Who is not as good as the real world Henry VIII. It's only 18, which is good. Let's get some technology. Well ahead. So we'll probably get a flood of royal marriage offers, which is fine. Looks like our royal marriage with Milan has run out, which is also good. What do we not have? We don't have a royal marriage with Austria. We should get one of those, but they've just suggested it anyway. Okay, brilliant. So we've got our bunch of ships. So we did do this before, but I'm just going to actually switch to the trade map. Still don't want to discuss trade in too much depth, but effectively each one of these big areas is a trade node. They'll each have different value, and it'll actually guide us as to what the value is, but we're definitely going to want one to go to the Caribbean, even if the value doesn't look that high, because the value will only increase. Generally, we do better the more presence we have in a trade node. So if we select mission, protect trade, so English Channel will give us a very little profit. Lubeck is much more. North Sea is more. Bordeaux is also good. Caribbean's quite low, you see, but I'm going to send this one to the Caribbean anyway. I'm still going to tell them to go to port during war. Right, we get this sometimes. I think generally with this it's better to show charity. It only costs 20 ducats and it gives us a better settler chance and stuff. Plus it's actually nicer, and it's not often we get a chance to actually be nicer. So let's do Lubeck. Again, go to port during war. And let's do the North Sea and go to port during war. Brilliant. So what we should find, it may already have happened, because I think we did go over the edge of a month, but we should find that our income goes up noticeably. With that in mind, can we get... Right, +2 advisor we can afford, but we're going to need the money to do it. So even though they're not cheaper, we can at least go up to +2, which would be good. And while we're at it, I've clicked onto this screen. I don't know if we've used this one before. Could be wrong. But this screen has an option for promoted cultures. And the reason why this is useful, you tend to start off with some, is that it can reduce the chances. Okay, that's just a general bad thing. Extra corruption will live. It can reduce the chance of uprising among those cultures. So you have to have a certain number of each culture, and you'll find some have little stars on because they're similar to cultures we already promote. So it's not as urgent for us to promote them. However, right, so it would be good to do Irish or Walloon. I might go for Walloon just because they're more likely to have uprisings. Talking the area around the Netherlands, which traditionally had a lot of uprisings, does apparently cause more corruption. So even though I would love to promote Irish culture, I'm going to go with Walloon. We can only do 3, but that will go up as time goes on, so it's worth us coming back to this screen. But it might cause less uprisings over here. Fewer uprisings over here. So it is worth checking this screen now and again to see if you can promote other culture. It costs diplomatic power, but I would argue that if you're empire building, it is well worth doing. We lost a general? We have. Another general. And what's next? Right, well, we can't do a lot of exploration with just a cog, and we're sort of running out of areas we can even reach. We might be better off just exploring these areas. Can we explore with just a cog? Apparently we can. Maybe it's with DLCs that you can't. Havana, hang on. We need to put that down. So we do need to keep an eye on the uprisings at the moment, because we do have one colony, Havana, which doesn't normally have any armies. So, uprising is Havana. We need to do something about. I have a feeling, oddly enough, with more DLCs. Ooh, strengthen the throne, publish abroad. We need to strengthen the throne because our legitimacy is quite down. I think with the DLCs you actually need to have 1 or even 3 carracks, which is probably why I'm instinctively making 3 carracks for our colonial navy. But it would appear here we can make do with just a cog. Still rather have the carrots anyway, so we are building them, but it does mean we can at least clear up these little areas. Okay, and we've got some Breton noble rebels, which it looks like the Bretons are dealing with themselves, which is great. So let's just park you down there. Nothing particularly major. We should try to improve relations with people. Maybe if we do Morocco and Tunis, because they hate Castile. Makes them a good option. Might even try Russia. Although I have a feeling they will be in conflict with the Commonwealth, who are our ally. So not much we can do. I don't think the Isles are going to make any kind of movement on Norway. So we are definitely going to go for them next. Okay. That's enough, I think. We have. So these are just the flutes. Transport ships again, and I do question to what extent we want to explore without gaining any new territories. Can't see Portugal, at least in West Africa, which is surprising. They're definitely there, of course, and here. So I think we're still looking at Louisiana and Panama as our next locations. But yeah, probably want to do some colonizing before we do any more exploring. Holland making claims. We've got... Oh, the Janissaries have risen up. And they managed to get control of them immediately. Good work, the Ottomans. Quarantine the port, as usual. Okay, looks like finishing relations entirely. Right, okay, let's start building some spy networks. To build some in Castile and Aragon, because we're going to have been away from war for so long now that I don't think we even particularly need to worry about having attacked people before. I think all our truces are over. We're going to start having our claims expire. Alright, I see. Just going to start doing a bit of spying in a few areas. That's while our colonies build. Carracks. Oh, that was unexpected. Revolt. Okay, Namur. I will lower taxes. Don't really want to revolt. Okay, so I think Havana was the one that didn't have a colonist. No, it did. Right, okay, so we're going to send the colonist back here. Right, I was looking at this place because I assumed it had a colonist and I thought it was the best established. That was actually Havana. So, brilliant. So we've got a colonist in both of these areas now. So we'll hopefully have a colonial nation before you know it. Brilliant. Gamble in London, if it improves prestige... Oh, actually, we've already got a lot of prestige. Much as I'd like to do it anyway for the extra free prestige, it's probably not even worth it. Even though we do have quite a lot of Oh, brilliant. Even though we do have quite a lot of money. Yes, please. Okay, so we can do a proper discussion on trade now. Especially as our trade efficiency is... Has it gone up or is it about to? I think it's about to. But we should also improve our diplomatic power. Or diplomatic power or diplomatic tech. That is good. Brilliant. And we should also see if we can get that +2 advisor. So that will pay dividends over time. Okay, brilliant. So, back to trade. Probably a good time to look at it. So, every nation has got a home trade node, which in our case is the English Channel. We're very lucky with the English Channel because most trade nodes have trade both coming in and flowing out. So this one here is Castile's trade node, which I don't think we've discovered yet, and they need to worry about trade power, like value, going away from them, whereas we never have to worry about that at all. We're just going to get all of it. So we have a certain number of merchants. We started with 2, and you can see where they are because you've got a little picture of a merchant, and also there's a little tick next to the direction they are pulling trade. So they're both, instead of concentrating on trying to collect trade where they are, they're trying to move it, generally towards the English Channel. But you can end up moving via a very circuitous route, depending. So we've now got a 3rd merchant, and we're hopefully going to get a lot of merchants, being a colonial power. Every time we get a colonial nation that has 10 or more provinces, we will get an additional merchant, which is going to make us incredibly rich. But we need to decide where to put those merchants. There are a lot of theories on this. I personally tend to find your best option is to try it. So hopefully, if you pick a time when your income is fairly static, it's not moving wildly up and down, it's always going to change a bit with trade. Whereas your income from taxes is usually a little more stable. But I would usually try putting a merchant somewhere and see what effect it has. So like one option we could do is to collect in the English Channel. In fact, if we click on the English Channel, we can actually see this in detail. So retained trade value is all of it for the English Channel. But this is the trade power we have there. So we're only really getting, I think, 59% of the overall money that comes into the English Channel. We would like to have more of it. You can collect from trade here. I usually prefer to actually do the trade from the trade screen, which is here. So if we try sending a merchant, you can see where they are currently, and we've got William Hudson, who isn't anywhere. You've got the option of sending them to collect from trade or to transfer trade power. That is greyed out for your English Channel because it's an end trade node. They cannot transfer trade power. But if we send William Hudson and then immediately come back here and keep an eye on our income, it actually seems to have appeared immediately. But let's just see if it goes up. Usually it goes up at the end of a month. It may not be worth having someone collecting from trade here. We may be, well, I mean, it will gain us some money, but we may gain a lot more money by, say, putting a merchant in the Caribbean, which is what I'm kind of inclined to do. So let's just look at the effects of this. Okay, so the Reformation has hit us, so we're going to have to worry about that. Yeah, well, let's not worry about that just now. Okay, so we've gone up to 745. So effectively gaining 145 ducats per month. Now let's try moving that trader. So we take the English Channel, change. Nope, that's not right. If we pick the Caribbean and we take the guy from English Channel and send him to transfer trade power. Need to get the right one. Will take him a while to arrive. I imagine he will appear there. He'll be sending it to Bordeaux, but I'm not sure. So we got 745. Anymore, that's fine. We've got armies everywhere now. So that's just gone down as he's left the English trade channel. But we did have 745 per month. I want to see what effect having him in the Caribbean has. In some ways I quite like having someone collect from trade in your home node, but I worry about whether it's the best use of a merchant. To be fair, at the moment the Caribbean probably isn't worth as much as it will be. Yeah, that's great. Marriage, always good. Okay, so he's appeared, we've got the little tick. And you see it's only gone up to 654, so actually collecting from trade in the English trade channel is better at the moment. I think that will change, but then we are going to have so many merchants that maybe having someone collecting isn't a bad thing. Especially because it's such a valuable trade node with everything going into it. So I might reverse that decision and send him back to the English channel. So collect from trade, moving from Caribbean. The Caribbean is going to be worth so much more later. But that's roughly how I would do it. So if you want to really check it, you could send traders to various other places. Generally you want to start in your trade node, your home node, and you want to have merchants radiating out from there. So you see the computer automatically at the start of the game gave us 2 here, which are right next door, Champagne and Lubeck. So a good one might be the North Sea, or we could go beyond. So from Lubeck we could go send someone over here to the Baltic Sea, although we haven't discovered that yet. So you can kind of tell if you've discovered it by the way the node looks. We don't have much information, just the value. Worth checking the value as well, of course. So like Bordeaux has a good value. Although, yeah, I suppose we don't really get money from France. So that would also be an option. But then I wonder whether France will also be sending things to Champagne. Because I think that might be their home trade node. And there's some places where it really isn't worth having them. But yeah, it's worth experimenting. It can actually be quite fun to just experiment, depending how you feel. So like this one might be a good one, Rhineland, because we could try to pull trade out of Rhineland and into these 2 nodes. And we would then be pulling trade out of them into the English channel. It's worth experimenting, and I would say rather than worrying about theories and maybe looking at loads of YouTube videos, just try it out yourself. Just try moving your trader around and see what happens. I will have an elaborate and lengthy ceremony because I do like prestige. That may give us a loan, but we will pay it off as soon as we can. And it's also cost us some money, so we're now going to struggle to work out how much we're gaining. We're on 334, so presumably, was it about 2 ducats we gained from this? Yeah, man. Okay, not quite that much, but we did get a loan at the same time. You can also see that we're now on 60%, which isn't much more. But I don't particularly mind leaving the trader there. I kind of like having a trader in the English channel. So we will be revisiting that every time we get a global merchant. But to me, that is basically the best way to go about it, is to start in your home trade node, wherever that is. You will rarely be so lucky as to get an end trade node, which might be another advantage to having someone collect trade there, because it'll make it harder for other people to pull the trade away. Doesn't apply in our case. But you'll then look at all the places that immediately feed into it. So for us, that's North Sea, Lubeck, Champagne, and these 2, I think. So that one will be the Caribbean, and this one, it'll be the Ivory Coast. Côte d'Ivoire. So yeah, they will generally be worth putting merchants in, but you can then look beyond them to the places that feed them, like the Rhineland in this case. You can basically spend as much or as little time on it as you wish. You will often not get that many traders unless you choose trade ideas. That actually give you... Actually, that only gives you 2, I think. Oh no, it only gives you 1 extra. So okay, maybe you don't get that many. We do gain 1 when we embrace the Global Trade Institution as well. So you do get a few to play with, but if you're struggling for money, it can be worth seeing whether moving traders around will help. I mean, generally, where the computer placed them at the beginning is a good place, but things can change. You know, I mean, if as England we were stuck with the 2 traders we started with, later in the game I might want to switch to the Caribbean. As it happens, because we are colonising, we're likely to end up with many, many traders. So, not too worried, but it does mean we will have to decide where to put an awful lot of them. But yeah, that's my little introduction to trade. Okay, right. What do we want to do next? Well, we're still working on this agenda for the nobility and also the mission that we're hoping to fulfill. So the manpower level is 60%, so we will get there before we get to the nobility. So at that point we want to get the force limit, and I think that will give us claims on the rest of Ireland and Scotland. So we can then look at moving on them. What else do we want to do? We want to make some claims. So let's get Antwerpen again. That's our only option. Let's work out where these Catholic zealots are appearing. That's fine. France will deal with them. France does tend to have a rather rougher time with the Reformation than we do. So we can stop spying on Burgundy now, because Antwerpen is the only place we can directly claim. Okay, we don't have any claims on Aragon yet. So what I would kind of like to do is combine these 2 areas, even though Barcelona is very tempting. Plus we could even start trying to move across to the islands, which might allow us to make claims on all sorts of areas, so that's worth thinking about. So we definitely want to keep on with Aragon, just in case. Now Castile, I think we might already have claims. Got Vizcaya. Probably pronouncing that wrong, apologies. Cantabria. So it might be worth leaving Castile for a little longer. Maybe not, actually. Simply because our spy might get found. So I was thinking of maybe doing the odd claim on specific Cuban areas. We will... Okay, we've got La Sabana already. That's fine. Let's make a claim on Marion. You do get the option sometimes when defeating a colonial nation to actually tell them to pull out of the entire area, and you can get all of it. That does lead to terrible uprisings. So I sometimes find it is actually better just to do the odd claim, because then your colonial nation can deal with it. What we could do is go with that and just send our own army over to help deal with the uprising until things calm down. But I don't mind having the odd claim just in case. It depends how the war goes as well. We might only be able to make the odd claim. Oh, good. And every little helps, you know. So if we can just make this colonial nation a bit bigger, if we can get them to 10. If as we get a merchant from the Caribbean, we will definitely want to put them in the Caribbean. Okay, come on. I'm still nervous about these areas. Air falls ill. The air isn't that good. I don't care. Let's just pray for him. I think we will get another air. He wasn't amazing, and because he was worse than Henry VIII, and Henry VIII is only average, and Henry VIII is only 22. So I'll be very surprised if we don't get another heir who, if we're lucky, may be better. Spare no expense. Corruption has gone down again to 0, so don't need to worry about that. All looking good, just need this colony to finish. Awesome. Right. So, let's just double check the colonial and trade regions again. So, 2 options for Louisiana. Let's start with this one, because it seems a little more central. This is going to be a problem. Let's talk about the Reformation. So, not a lot of war, but a lot of tutorial. Okay, so we need another map for this, really. The reason it becomes a problem, though, is our provinces are slowly converted to Reformed. Because we're Catholic, that reduces our religious unity, and we're already getting higher chances of unrest, more corruption, although actually it isn't doing anything yet, and a sort of malice on our improving stability, which we're not about to do. So we've got another map, which isn't one of the basic ones, so you may need to add this for religious, and you can see things popping all over. So yellow is Catholic, and blue is Reformed, and there's probably one for Protestants. So that's dark blue, a lighter blue is Reformed. I think of those both as Protestant religions, but there are differences. Spy network in Aragon has been reduced to 25. We might want to quickly make a claim before it goes down. We do. Okay, so let's claim this area. I ended up on the trade map for some reason. Okay, not going to worry about that. Okay, so how the Reformation happens, the main difference between Protestant and Reformed, I think, is that Reformed is trying to fix the Catholic Church, whereas Protestant is leaving it. So what we get during the Reformation are centres of Reformation. I suppose they're effectively equivalents of the areas where the high-profile reformers, like Martin Luther, lived. So you'll have a centre of Reformation, and it will start converting nearby provinces. So this one here in Cork is being converted to Reformed, I think, by this one in Lothian. So that's quite a serious problem. You see, these areas are now almost like they're being conquered. Same thing you get in wars. So we own them, but they're now Reformed, and Cork will be going the same way. In an ideal world, because we don't own Lothian. Right, so we can't do much about the provinces we don't own, but if at some point we do own them, if we could convert this province to Catholic, I believe it will remove the centre of Reformation. So if you want to stay Catholic, what you want to do, ideally, is to take over these centres of Reformation and convert them. The other thing you can do is you can, I think, in certain circumstances, like declare war with that express aim. You might need certain reasons for that. Like if you're the Holy Roman Emperor, you certainly can. But yeah, if we were in a war with the Isles anyway, might be able to force them to convert to Catholic because they're entirely Reformed, and that might lead to them converting this. It might not. But yeah, at the moment there isn't a huge amount we can do other than watch it spread. We can try to convert provinces back. The fact that we haven't had an alert for it suggests that we're not yet able to do so. So our missionaries are not yet powerful enough for us to convert a reformed province back to Catholic. So at present we're just going to have to watch it and watch our religious unity go down and down and down. Of course we could decide to convert ourselves, as the Isles apparently have done. But I don't currently plan to do that. I'm perfectly happily being Catholic at the moment. So we'll just see. There isn't a lot we can do about it. We don't have to worry as much as England, because most of the centre of Reformation happened in Germany. I can only actually see 2. Yeah, I seem to have quite a few up here now. But yeah, it looks like Scandinavia's gone Protestant. Oh, brilliant. And the Isles have gone Reformed, along with Scotland. Interesting. But yeah, this is the kind of thing that's going to tear the Holy Roman Empire apart. Which will make Austria less powerful, but we should also be able to take advantage and make a bunch of claims on them. With that in mind, let's claim Liege itself. Yeah, I might start building the spy network at this point. Okay. Oh yeah, let's make some claims down there. Just keep claiming on Castile, I think, as the other claims fail. If you remember, the cost of a claim goes up the more claims you have, which is why in some ways I would have liked to have waited for them to run out, but we never know when we're going to end up in conflict with them. Okay, so we're now looking at this mission. We need 60% of our manpower, which we've now got, having fulfilled that agenda for the nobles. So we now want an army that's 100% of the force limit. That will reduce our manpower again. So the first thing I want to do is make a colonial army. So if you remember, I like to do that as 3 infantry, 1 cavalry and 2 artillery. Then we might just bolster these 2 armies a little. So they're still quite infantry heavy. As you get later in the game, you tend to want at most twice as many infantry as artillery. Arguably you could try to, you want somewhere between having half as many artillery as infantry or having the same number of artillery as infantry. So at the moment we definitely want more artillery. So if we just build a couple more artillery, we might need to move that army. I don't think this one will have any problems, but we might need to move that one. Make sure it's not taking any damage. And let's move this colonial army over to the new Louisiana colony. So that's good, we're underway. So our next step will be Panama. Once that one finishes. Aragon just rivaled us. We've got a new pope. I've just realised that I've allowed an insane amount of papal influence to pick up. So I'm actually going to use this one. Beautify local saint, which will take us to +3 stability, the most you can have, which should help us a great deal. We'll put some towards being the next papal controller, and I'm going to improve relations with the papal state again, just to be on the safe side. Okay, let's summon the Diet again. That should allow us to seize land. Invest in prosperity, and the burghers of Hull want a new naval equipment manufactory. I think we should go for that one. We are going to have a mission. Oh, we've already got a mission about that. We're already done the treasury. So we want to have at least 20 manufactories. We also are going to have an institution called manufactories, and it will start rising in any province that has a manufactory. So it's worth getting those 20 before this institution hits. So I mean, the printing press hasn't even hit yet, so you know, we've got a way to go. We've only got 15 more to build. It's also worth spreading them out so that the institution spreads throughout our country. But in this case, the burghers have actually requested one. We can't really afford one yet, I don't think. But as soon as we can, we will. I'm not sure if that area is better or worse than the one we lost. But in any case, I feel justified in not paying for a medicus. Okay. Actually, I don't know if we might want to pay off a loan first. Should probably do the manufacturing first. Not to worry. We are going to want to get those into the new world. At some point, let's move our armies together. Supply limit is 25, so yeah, we can't stay there. Let's move over here. Supply limit we can actually cope with. We don't really have uprisings coming anyway. We've got unrest, but nothing too serious. So I think we're fine, and we should be able to safely seize land. Brilliant. The higher we can make this, the better. As a rule, so we will keep trying to do that. Especially early in the game, I always feel like we get on with it, get away with it better early on. Right, brilliant. So, let's send our colonial navy to pick those guys up. I don't know to what extent we're actually going to use that third army until we have a third colonist. I just wanted them handy, because we may be stepping away from having an extra colony after this, because we can instead throw the money into this colony itself, the colonial nation, in the hope that they will spread. I mean, Castile is definitely taking the bulk of this land, so I'm not sure how much they'll be able to spread, but there are a lot of islands they can still colonise. So, yeah. Not so bad. And I think we are going to need one more troop in order to hit our force limit. We could instead do it by hiring mercenaries, because I think that still counts for the mission. But for now, in general, we're also going to want to get our armies into position. So we want to do this. Part of me even wonders if it might be worth just trying to use the colonial army to fight Cork. How big is their army? Probably too big, to be fair. I mean, it's okay, it's small enough that we could pull it off. So if we hired a small mercenary army, I wonder if it's necessary though. I kind of feel like one of our armies might be enough to take on the Isles. Although it would be a good reason to keep this army around. And we are allowed 3 leaders. So if I just give you a conquistador. I think they can see what we're doing, so they are building up their army. But maybe if we just started off with the main army down there, and then we could immediately send them up to help. Might work as a strategy. Okay, faster colonist, global settler increase, yes please. We could definitely do with that. So I'm guessing Oh no, we haven't made that final troop yet. Fair enough. So let's take you up to Scotland. The Ayrshire, if it can take it. We don't have enough transports either. What's our foursome like for the Navy? Not great. So I think we're just going to have to put up with having to move the army in bits, which is fine. While we're preparing for war, there's no actual danger. Might have been worth just moving them across, actually. It would have been a bit quicker. That's fine. That's fine. Anne Boleyn is trying to elevate her position so we can lose prestige or we can fire her. I would rather keep her, honestly. She's pretty useful, and I'm hoping our prestige is going to go up because of the attack we're about to do. So this is what I was hoping for. We get permanent claims. But we also get a subjugation casus belli on Scotland, which I'm kind of more interested in. And that will last for 10 years. So we do need to move quickly on that. But we will also be able to take Munster. Sorry, I'm getting confused with the German state. Fine. Okay, we apparently are now losing money, which is annoying because we do need to start that manufactory building. So I might even just risk taking out another loan. So where is it we need it? Hull. Okay. We are great port cities, so that does make sense. Nope, not repaying a loan. I'm actually taking another one, which will lose us even more money. Also lost an advisor. Glad it wasn't Anne Boleyn. That would have been very annoying. Okay. We need to build a manufactory in Hull. So we do have options with manufactories. Originally you could only produce the basic one, which was good for trade. Basically local goods produced. I need to pop this down. And I do tend to favour that one anyway. But we do have the option for ramparts or impressment officers. I think that's like an army one and a navy one, and there will be others later, but we can't do them yet. There are advantages to them, and also they do count. So even though they specifically ask for naval equipment manufactory, if you actually look at the mission, it's any manufactory. So you don't have to do naval equipment, but that will be the basic one. And it's probably the one I'm going to go with most of the time. So I'm going to build it here. It's not the best place to build a manufactory. You can also see where we already have them. So they are moderately spread out. So when the institution hits, it will start appearing here and will spread from there. We don't yet have one in London. We're definitely going to want one in London. That would be worth a lot, I would imagine. Oh, well, I can't actually see an option for London. Oh, they're currently building one. Or am I just confused? I guess I'm just confused. We'll definitely want one in London anyway. At some point. Okay, actually, looking at it, I don't think we do need any help with the Isles. I think the one army will be plenty. Actually, is that subjugation casus belli on Scotland, isn't it? So that's actually not going to be worth having. That's interesting. So actually lost out there through... through the Isles taking over Scotland. I had not considered that. Okay, fair enough. So we are not going to be having another vassal. We are actually going to be taking the land bit by bit. Well, that's the way it goes. Over here, send the army to Limerick, and let's just look at our money again. Right, so it looks like we can't actually afford a +2 advisor now, and there aren't any options as +2 advisors anyway. So, national unrest, missionary strength, production efficiency. I question whether missionary strength will actually be enough to allow us to start converting people yet. I think we'll need to wait for the Counter-Reformation, so let's go for production efficiency and give us a bit more money. Yeah, right, colonialism is starting to spread now. At least that will allow us to make some progress on the loans. You have a fair bit of inflation as well, but I can't say I'm too worried. Now we're nearly there. So yeah, probably going to end it with us poised to start taking over the whole of Great Britain and Ireland. Slightly disappointed that I can't do subjugation. I do like having vassals, but never mind. We'll just have to decide how much we can get away with taking in one go. I might just abide by the suggested amounts, although it's possible we'll be able to just take the lot. It almost makes me wonder if we should avoid taking all of Munster, simply because having them as an ally for the Isles means they're not allying anyone else. So I suppose we could just take Cork. Spending practices. Okay, I'm not too worried about corruption. I think I might actually prefer to get the corruption and gain 2 base tax in Hampshire. So I think our corruption is reducing anyway, quite quickly. So I don't see it as that big a deal. The Isles have put down their uprising. Okay. Anything that costs some manpower. So I don't think we're going to need any mercenaries for this one. Looking at the size of the Isles army. So I think it will use this army to take out Munster's army. We'll leave these guys doing the siege, and we'll send this army up to help with the Isles. And we've also got our colonial navy, so they can do some naval blockades along with our main navy. So I think we are ready. We're ready to go. So I'm going to end it there. It was finally fully recovered from that war. Well, the wars against Brittany and Scotland and Burgundy and Aragon. We're very close to having this colonial nation now as well. So yeah, I get rather nervous about colonising, but we will make progress on that and see how much of Great Britain and Ireland we can take. It's just I'm worried if I take all of Munster that the Isles might find another ally somewhere who will be more difficult to deal with. I'm sure, I mean really we could probably deal with anything now, but nonetheless, a lot of the time most of Europe isn't that concerned about what happens in these islands, so we might be able to get away with taking all of it. We'll see. We'll see what the war score comes back with, what the suggested agreements are when we make peace. But yeah, we are ready to go, And yeah, we'll leave it there, and I will see you next time for the invasion of the Isles. Thanks for watching.